There's a strange phenomenon going on right now. There's a strange phenomenon going on right now. And basically, what it is that there's a certain demographic of people within our society that are leading in divorces. And it's kind of strange because these are people that built families. They were married for substantial amounts of time. These are people that bought homes and raised children. And, they did all of the things. When you look at it, it appeared as if, they had it mapped out and pretty much figured out. And so what they're finding now is that they call this group the gray divorces. And so these are people that are 50 and above that are getting divorced, and they are leading in divorces. A lot of the stats out there will tell you that there's 50% of marriages end in divorce, which is not true. It's like 40 to 43% of actual marriages that end in divorces. But when you go to your second marriage, the percentage is higher. It's like 60 or 70%. It's like high, really high, if someone gets into a second marriage. And so as I was looking up some of these numbers today, I was kind of reflecting again on some things and on some information that I've been kind of pondering, but also under the mindset of thinking that this is something that I need to share with people, because a lot of the failure that's taking place, to me, is things that can be prevented. Like, you can prevent someone from, once you have the conversation, there's things that can be prevented. There's preventive measures that can be put into place. And so when you look at this, I want to go over a couple of things real quick. I have three other lessons that I've gone over to start this, and I'm just going to continue this on. This might be 7, 8, 9 lessons. I don't know how many, but right now I'm just going to work on lessons that are between 25, 15, 20, 30 minutes, something like that, and just share some information to help people and not make the same mistakes that so many are making. This area is near and dear to me because I'm one of those stats. I'm part of that 50 and above that, raised the kids, had the house, had the business, all the other stats that go along with it. And then in their 50s, after the kids kind of leave the house, then all of a sudden the couple gets divorced, which sounds crazy, but it's something that's going on at a very high rate. Like I said, if you're just coming in here now, they say the percentages, so if there's 40% of marriages ended in divorce, or 43%, out of those 43%, 40% are gray, they call them gray divorces, where someone is 50 and above. And so these are people that, they should be established and they should be retiring. And, but the thing is, when you get divorced at a late age like that, you have to reset. You can't start from where you left off. There's a reset that has to take place. You got to split money. You got to, it's just everything is changed. Everything is like, again, it's a reset. That's the only thing that I can think of to call it, because you're starting from ground zero. There's no, and there's no way of navigating this thing. And so that's why my mindset would be to help people as a source of prevention to not go through this. And so, when you look at this, all these stats and all these numbers, because that stuff fascinates me, because numbers don't lie. Numbers are it's the only thing that you can prove. And when you look at all of this, the thing that there's three common issues that we discussed last week. One of them was communication. One of them was communication. And we went over all the different reasons of why communication is so important. We talked about, when that person's talking, you respecting them and you're not over talking them, and the way that you handle disagreements and all of the things that we just packaged all of it up as far as part of communication. That's in video, I believe. That's in video 1. If you go to my page, it'll be video 1, dealing with, divorce over 50. The second was about, I'm trying to think, I was thinking about, and part of the conversations too was, we're not too friendly to other people that's coming around our relationship, that we have some certain boundaries in place. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be that you should be a person that's rude to other people, but you have to have certain boundaries in place. And but if you're a business person like myself, there's times when I'm out in public and you're meeting people, but it's not a romantic thing. You're not trying to. That's not your mindset. But part of that is too, you have to be with the right person who has the right mindset and they're doing things for the right reason. And so the first thing again would be communication, learning to communicate effectively, because there's a lot of talking that goes on in these relationships, but there's not a lot of listening. There's not a lot of hearing. And so when someone is repeating or when someone is ending your sentences for you and they're talking for you, that causes a lot of bitterness. It causes a lot of resentment that takes place over a period of time. It doesn't happen immediately. And so through that process, I came up with an equation of what happens. The first thing that happens is because of the kind of not being seen and heard, the person they go to a place of hurt. And then after they're hurt for a while, then there's a level of bitterness that takes place. And after the bitterness, then there's resentment. Then after resentment, there's a level of disdain. And then there's a loathing. The loathing takes place because at some point you just start, they start just getting tired of that person. And you can see the loathing, like when a couple's sitting together, like side by side, and they're talking, the way that they look at each other when they're talking. Even if you ever watch any of those shows where there's couples that are getting counseled, and the way that they talk to each other and about each other, and the level of disdain and not wanting to deal with that person, they already done the stats. They know that couple is headed for divorce. And so the first thing again was the communication. Second thing was infidelity and betrayals. And this infidelity and betrayals represents, through sometimes it's physical, but a lot of times it's communication and things like that. And then it's the whole process of learning to rebuild trust and not having secrets. And so I went through all that in video 2. In video 3, I went to the silent killer was I'm trying to remember. And the negative impacts that it has. The negative impacts that it have when you're you're so willing to have a conversation and be reasonable with someone else, but the person that you're saying that you're with and that you love, that you're not really as open to them and you're not as engaging with them, and so because of it, it builds a lot of resentment in that relationship. And I don't know why, for the reason for the love of God. Boundaries. Yeah, boundaries. Okay. It slipped my mind. It's like I went blank for a second there. And so if somebody's in here, I don't know if anybody's in here, but it slipped my mind for a second there. It's like, yo, what was that word? It was like on the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't remember it. Oh, how you doing, Lataya? I got these couple flies that's flying around me. I got a lot of things going on here right now. But so the other thing would be financial struggles. Financial struggles would be the third thing. And so those are the three. It's the three things that are the basis of any relationship: your finances, your communication, and your intimacy. Or I can't even say intimacy, but your intimacy. And so those are the three basics. And so the fourth thing would be loss of intimacy and sexual connection. So what happens is if you've been married to a person for a long time, there is a tendency to get bored with them, as far as and I'm not saying bored in a negative way. I'm saying that I shouldn't say bored, but there's a tendency to get just used to them, almost like taking them for granted. That's what I'll say. That's the correct term. More so, it's a process or mindset of taking them for granted, and not intentional, but because you have something and it's there and it's there and so on and so forth. And just a lot of times that's the mindset comes in where you don't really see the importance of that person, and you just kind of there's a taken for granted and not grateful for certain things, and because of that, wedges have been built. And so one of the ways that wedges get built is, I often tell women this: if you're married and you have a spouse, you need to know what is their level of intimacy that they need. And intimacy, I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about, what are the things that they need? And this is both parties have to talk about this, because that's an important part of the relationship, your intimacy. How intimate are you? Are you holding hands? Are you Are you huggers? Are you people that cuddle? Are you people that, you do all the little things that are important? You do write notes, and, do you do all the little special things? You send them gifts, and what are the intimate little secret? And because over a period of time, that stuff can start being less and less. When you first meet them, Of course, you're sending them flowers, you're writing them notes, and because they're the apple of your eye, and the thing is fresh and it's new. But the longer this thing goes on, because again, the largest group that is getting divorced is 50 and above. 40%, over 40% of people that are married 50 and above are getting divorced right now. They are the leaders, and I'm one of the representatives. I feel in that category, you know, and so there's a decline sometimes, and then with age, because when you look at intimacy, with some people, there's a decline in the physical and the emotional closeness. The emotional closeness should already be there to me, because that's something that should have been built based upon the foundation and based upon the way you were building. If you were building correctly, and this is why I went over this in the beginning, the communication, the intimacy, the money. If you were building the three branches correctly, then what happens is you would have built on a solid foundation. So therefore, you would have harvest, because this is what's happening. Most of us are harvesting what we planted. What we planted in our 20s. We're reaping the harvest of it now in our 50s, based upon ignorance, based upon not knowing, based upon this is why I'm sharing, I'm giving, and I'm presenting, because I don't want this next group coming up to repeat what we're doing. Because somebody has to kind of cry aloud and wave their hands and say, "Hey, you have to go. Hey, you have to go down this road. This is the wrong way. This is a dead end. The road stops here. You'll fall off a cliff." Because when you go through this process, you're starting over, and starting over. I tell this to people all the time. Starting over. If I was starting over in my 20s, it would have been magic. It would have been perfect. Perfect. Starting over in your 50s and 60s and 50s, and you're older, even if you're trying to even find a job, it's harder for someone that's in corporate America, that's been in that position and got all the experience, and they got 30 years in. It's harder for them to find a job than it is for a kid that's 20 or something like that, kind of college, because they got too much experience and nobody wants to hire them, because nobody wants to pay them 150 or 200 or 800, whatever the money is that they're supposed to get paid. And so this is all part of it, because of your years and because of your time and how much you've been investing and how much you've done. And so back to my point, because of age with some people, and because of health, because not everybody's healthy. The Most High blessed me that I'm a healthy person in my 60s. Most people are not healthy. So you look at the decline in physical and emotional health. That's also sometimes a decline in the physical, because they're on these medications and these different things are going on, and hormones, and women are going through the flashes, and there's changes in the body and things. So there's things that are going to happen. Just like when you were young and you had kids, and it made it inconvenient for you to be intimate, because you had to do it, certain times, maybe this, that, So there always was something going on. And so through that process, there was probably a lot of this, people just separating, moving in different directions, because other things that were brought into our lives kind of tore asunder. And it's not pointing the finger and blaming anything, but if you're ignorant of these things that are pulling you asunder or pulling you apart, then you're going to end up being apart, because you're not going to see it as the severity of it that it is. Okay, mismatched desire. Mismatched desire starts with now when you're courting. That's why, when people are meeting people, I tell them, you got to find people that match. I was telling this to one of my nephews over the weekend. I said, yo, any woman you meet, you got to make sure that your values match. If your values do not match, but before your values have to match, you need to sit your tail down. This is when I talk to them just like this. You need to sit your tail down, and you need to figure out, what are your values? What are the things that are most important to you? What are the values? What are the values concerning raising your kids? What are your values concerning money? What is your goal? Where do you see yourself going? What are the things that you value? If you don't know what your values are, how can you even expect to get in a relationship and then expect that person to match you as far as values are concerned? It's not going to happen, because it's that same process of getting married, getting relationships, doing all these things without actually understanding what we're doing. You're reading, but do you understand what you read? You're doing it, but you understand what you're doing. I mean, I don't know. So you look at mismatched desires, timing, hot flashes, and I already mentioned that. Some people are going through menopause, and some men are going through different things, and their bodies are changed, and maybe they got diabetes, or they got something, other sickness or something that's going on that's affecting them. And so all of these things are part of the process and part of the problem. They're all things that are part of it, you know. Third thing is stress, fatigue, and diminishing attraction. Hopefully, you married someone that you loved and that you were attracted to, because when you married them, you made a vow and said, "I would love, I would honor, and I would cherish." It didn't say when they're thin and when they're chubby. It said love, marry, and honor. You know, that's like this one chick I was kind of seeing for a little while. I only saw two. And the one she said, "Oh, if I was married to somebody and they got fat, I would leave them." When she said that, I knew automatically she wasn't the person for me, because I was in a marriage, and all I say is that people's bodies are going to change when you're in a marriage with them, because she maybe somebody had the woman had a baby and this happened, or maybe somebody got sick. I had a sister that was fit like crazy. I have an older sister. She's like 62 or 63 now. Even in her high, up until the days that she was sick, this one girl was in the gym, fitness, running. I mean, fit, just fit. Once she got sick, she went from the fit to who she was fit to where she is now. As she's very, very skinny. She's very thin. She might be 70 or 80 pounds because of fighting this illness. And before, she might have been, let's say, I'm just guessing, maybe 140 pounds, 145 pounds. But she was fit. She wasn't 140 pounds and overweight. And I'm just saying this as an example. People's bodies change based upon life and based upon experiences. And so the third thing could be, and so if you're just getting in here, you want to go back and watch this video from the beginning. What is up with this fly? I want to just punch it in the face. You got to go back and watch this from the beginning, because I'm talking about what is the group that is leading in divorces, and the group that is leading in divorces is the group of people that are 50 and above. Thank you for the taps, the likes, and share. And they're leading in divorces for a lot of different reasons. I have 4 videos. This will be the 4th video that I've done talking about this topic, and I've talked about the main 3 in detail on videos. They're up on my page. And of course, there would be money, it would be, intimacy, and then it would be, communication. Those are the big 3. But I go into detail and show you how that by doing certain things, you can avoid this. You can avoid this. Or if you're in a relationship and you've been in a long-term relationship, you're at risk. And so if you're at risk, I would suggest you go watch them videos or go refer them videos to somebody to get them the information that they need to save their relationship. Because if you love them, you want to get them the information before something happens. So that's the way I look at it. And so you look at this, and so today we're talking about the 4th thing, which would be the losses of intimacy. And the intimacy, again, isn't just sex. It's, all of the intimate things that you do with that person, whether it's holding hands, whether it's going somewhere and going for a drive, whether it's writing a note, whether it's, making them a special meal, whether it's, just sitting across the table from them saying googly eyed things. I don't know. It could be any number of things. Put I don't know in the chat. I don't know. IDK. It could be any number of things. My point is, what does intimacy look like to you? Intimacy to me is because I write, it would be me writing this person a letter and not caring about punctuations and all that, but just writing them from the heart, and sharing with them what it feels like what my heart is feeling like. Because sometimes it's so much more powerful to write something and put something on paper and send it to your person, or even give it to them or give them a card, than it is to say it in words. Because that's something that if you're a part of Gen X, which I am, that's something that I used to do. All right, if you're part of Gen X, that's what I used to do. I had this girlfriend that lived like 40 minutes away from me, but we went to the same church, so we would write each other letters when we were like 18 or 20. And when I think back, that is so crazy. We would write letters and put stamps on them and send them out. Oh my God, that is crazy. Anybody relate to that? If you can relate to that, put that in the chat. And so there's so many things, and that's part of it. The longer that you've been, the longer that you've been in a relationship, you have to find ways of keeping the spark going. You have to find ways that your intimacy doesn't get routine. Do you do this? You do that? You do this? You do no. If you do that, you're going to bring a level of boredom, and not only boredom, but it's complacency. That's the word, complacency in the relationship. And part of one of the problems with older couples, 50 and above, because we're the ones leading in divorce, 50 and above, is there's too much routine and not enough spontaneity and spark. You have to keep the thing alive. You got to go out, take your wife out dancing, do something, or take your husband out dancing. Don't allow him to plan everything. You plan something. Be spontaneous. Figure out things that you can do to keep the fire growing. Sit down and discuss your finances. Sit down and discuss, the goals that you have and the objectives and the things that you want to achieve. Because when you can discuss these things, you eliminate the process of being that 40% of those over 50 that are getting divorced, which they've even put a name on it. They're calling it gray divorce. And I felt like, when I read that stat, and I'm thinking, I got to do something. Because I'm a relationship trauma coach. I'm an actual coach. And so I wanted to do something to try to help people, because my journey started with a divorce based upon, not and then not understanding, just trying to figure out how to navigate and start my life over from that point forward. And so the third thing would be stress and fatigue and diminishing attraction. And the fourth thing would be routine. Everything is too routine. Your intimacy is the same every time. You get up every day in the morning, you just kiss them on the cheek. There's nothing new. There's got to be more spontaneity. You got to keep the fire going. And so that's all I wanted to share with y'all tonight, because I want to try to keep these around 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Because again, I'm breaking this down this might be 8 different videos at 15 to 20 minutes. This will be the 4th one that will be up, and I'll post it. I'll put it back up probably later on tonight or tomorrow. And so if you didn't get a chance to watch this from the beginning, go watch it, and like and subscribe and share it, and help somebody else that might be in this position, that might not know that they might be at a risk. The longer that they've been married, they could fall into that risk of and it's hard. It's challenging. It's very challenging to start over in your 50s. It's hard because you're not around your family as much, and and your grandkids or kids are not around as much. And yeah, you and your spouse broke up, but it does a lot. The dynamics it does into your family, it makes it challenging until you get to a point where you can get comfortable with things and not take things personal, which takes a little time. It took me a couple of years. I'm 4 years out. I'm 4 years out. But I appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. If y'all need coaching, you want to be a part of our program, let me know. If you're in the market and you want to get a book that can help you, I'm not pushing these books to sell them to make money, because they're only, the investment is only like $9, if you decide to get it. But this book talks about my story and the challenge that I went through, as far as, the whole grieving process and the whole process of my story, but also talks of how I went through the healing journey and my coach and different things that I learned. And it talks in detail about grief and how I learned about grief and how the grieving process, how to go through it and navigate that whole process. How you doing, Renee? Lorraine Marie. Oh, Lorraine, are you you're from TikTok, right? I think you're from TikTok. I can't see your face. That's why I'm asking. But that name, Lorraine, there was a person on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just not on TikTok because it was getting crazy. I had a stalker on there. I can't even talk about it, but this person was stalking me, and I was her. According to her, I was her. I won't say anything else, but I just had a stalker on there, and so it was getting too crazy, and I was like, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Yeah, yeah, and so because my only desire was to get on here and share information to help people, but some people, because of the state that they're in, they have these fantasies. This person thought that me and her was in a relationship, and we had been and I was talking to somebody else, and she's thinking that me and her is in a relationship, and it was just a mess. Only reason why she got my phone number was because she was helping me try to do something. But then once she got my phone number, then that's when all of the craziness and, these random calls and things. And I just had up. And so I backed away from everything. But then also I had opportunities in my other company which was taking a lot of my time. And yeah, yeah, that's why I try to be compassionate, because it's a brokenness. And so when you're a person that's a healer, or you have this hero complex, one or the other, broken people will be drawn to you and connect to you. I made a video about that, and I posted it on my TikTok and my YouTube and Facebook, because sometimes you don't understand why people are connected or attracted to you, and sometimes it's because of the brokenness inside of them, and because you are a person that has been placed here to heal and to help. Their broken part connects to, or wants to connect to you as a healer. They want to connect into your energy, but you can't be in a relationship with a person like that. You cannot be, if you are a healer, if you're placed on this earth to heal. I would suggest and tell that to anybody. You have to be careful, because you are a healer, you're going to attract, like this freaking fly that keeps flying around this light. Flies are attracted to light. People are going to attract, and not everything that's attracted to the light is something that's beneficial for the light. And so people, when they come into your life, they're going to receive something from it, but it's going to be an oppressive life for you, because you're going to constantly be in a place of coaching and teaching and it won't be it will be an unequal relationship. Yeah. Oh, nice. Wow. So you're going to be a minister? I guess you're going to be a full-time minister, Lorraine? What needs to be a topic, Lataya? About about what would you call it, Lataya? That's okay. 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 Yeah, that makes sense, Lorraine. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's important, because of your healing, you're going to attract. This is part of the reason why many people that follow me, um, their relationships were the way that they were, because they were probably healers. Because people that follow me or that join and that are part of what I do, generally they're people that have really, really good hearts. And part of that is they have a heart towards people. They want to help people. They want to be a source of a blessing and a help towards other people. And so when you have that mindset, there's people out there that they're going to want to cling onto you and hold on to you, because they know that they're not in a place where they can do. They need you energetically. They need you. That's what I'll say, because I'm trying to be respectful, but they need you. And so, but you can't be in a relationship with them. As attractive as they might be physically, you cannot spiritually. It's gonna drain you. You won't never. It'll make it hard for you to be able to perform and do, like, if you're in a position where you're teaching or you're doing things in front of large masses and groups and things. It'll be hard, because you're going to be so drained by everything that's going on at home, that you're not going to have any reprieve. You're not going to have any place of solitude. Everything is going to be just constant, drain. And yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right, Latai. And so, to me, you have to find someone where it's peace and it's harmony and it's moving in the same direction, and it's yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I got on here again just to share a little bit of information, because this topic is something I think is very important, because people are at risk the longer they've been together. And a lot of it is because of not really seeing, no longer being um, in the same mindset that you were. Because when you started that thing, if you were like me, I started my marriage in my 20s. I was 20-some-year-old kid. You know, I hadn't really lived life that much. I lived a sheltered life up to that point. Church boy and so on and so forth. And so by the time I got married, I thought that that was it. Life was pretty much over, just live your life and, both of y'all go, do your thing and enjoy it. And then you just both pass and go your separate ways and to eternity or whatever. And I'm just kind of paraphrasing and being facetious, but y'all understand what I'm saying. You don't really have it figured out, and because of the marriages that were around me, my mindset about marriages was, I was in fantasy land. I was in fantasy land, because my mom and dad are locked in. When I say locked in, they're locked in. Whatever my dad is trying to do and accomplish, my mom is 1,000% with him. She's not moving to the right or to the left. She's locked in, even at 80 some years old. And so, you got married in your teens, Lataya? You stopped being intentional? I'm not sure what you mean. Intentional about your about the person? Yeah, I talked a little bit about that earlier, as far as you lose. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you lose some of that of because the person is there. It's not like when you were dating them or when you first met them. And so now you got to work to kind of keep things going, because the person it's kind of a thing of they're taken for granted. I mean, and that's probably the wrong word, but it's not taken for granted, but they're um I don't know. You're just used to each other. I don't know the right word. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 So, but yeah, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I really do. So that we fall. Ay, 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 pasta Baggio. Okay, I appreciate y'all. Yeah, I'm on here. I try to get on here a couple times a week, 3 or 4 times a week, like I used to do on TikTok, but now I'm on YouTube. But yeah, it's good to see you. Good to see you. I didn't see you in a while. So thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for the taps, the likes, the share. And again, if you're in the market, you're thinking about getting the book on healing, and this, you can get this. The link's in my bio. It's in this bio on this page also. It's $9 investment, and it'll give you the guidelines of things that you can do. It tells us my story, but also tells you things that you can do to navigate the whole thing called healing and going through grief. And because grief doesn't just affect you when you lose a person that in a relationship, but it affects you, of course, when that person, if a person passes, which is again, it's a lot of people that I deal with. That's also the scenario too. All right, y'all. Okay. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all being in here. Do you have any questions? Anybody else have any questions? Uh, so that we oh, Renee, yeah, okay, yeah, I did see you come in here. How you doing, Renee? All right, y'all. Have a good night. Appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. I'll be on here tomorrow night and Wednesday, probably today, Monday. Yeah, probably Wednesday and Thursday at least. So appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank y'all for the taps, likes, shares. Thank y'all, each and every one of y'all. Have a good night. Like I always say, I believe in you, but you got to believe in yourself. Thanks. Talk to you soon.